Hi everyone, Mike here from MVB Outdoors, giving you a brief tutorial on how to change out your propeller on a Mercury 20 horsepower motor. Stainless props are known for their increased performance and speed. The aluminum props are much lighter. The blades are also thicker on the aluminum in order to hold their shape under load. Whereas on the stainless, the blades are thinner and able to cut through the water better without flexing. That should get you higher RPMs using the same pitch. In fact, it's recommended to go down a pitch when you are changing between aluminum and stainless. Since I am trying to gain RPMs, I am staying with the same pitch. Propellers can come with a pre-pressed hub or a replaceable hub. The Saturns, which is what we're going to be using today, in this size come with a pre-pressed hub, so no additional hub maintenance will be needed for the swap. We are going to be looking at the prop nut, the cotter pin, and the washers. The first step in removing the propeller will be to bend the arms of the cotter pin up and then pull it out the bottom or the top with a pair of pliers. Speaking of the cotter pin, this is what the replacement will look like. The two arms in the pin have been bent down and around to prevent the nut from turning while in use. For these motors, the cotter pin part number 18-815-0264. They cost about $2.50 if you buy it from a Mercury dealer. Otherwise, you can order them online for about $5. Here I have the tools for this job laid out. We're going to be using a grease gun to grease the propeller shaft, the pliers, remove the cotter pin, and a standard ratchet to tighten the nut back down. The first step is ensuring that your motor is in the neutral position, which this is. And it is also recommended to remove a spark plug wire to ensure that the motor cannot start while you are working on it. The gas nor the battery leads are connected, so there is no chance of this starting up on its own. To position the motor for a prop change, I have opted to use the transom saver that I have installed. This puts it at a good position to be able to get the leverage and keep it off the floor. I'm going to go ahead and get the camera set up, and we're going to remove the cotter pin. Alright, now that we have the camera in place, we can go ahead and start removing the cotter pin. Remember, the main objective here is just to be bending it straight up so it can be pulled out the bottom. Both arms have been bent up now. Bend this top one a little bit more. Squeeze them together. And make sure they're really as close to one another as possible so they slide out as easy as possible. Okay, they're in place. Okay, we got part one, and then part two will slide right out. Alright, so we may have had a little piece fall down into the propeller shaft. Not a problem, we can get that very easily once this has been removed. Okay. Next steps is going to be loosening the propeller nut. This is what keeps it onto the propeller shaft. This is another situation where it's recommended to stop the blade from spinning with a piece of wood. You can hold it with your hand for these smaller outboards. As you can see, it broke right free. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Now, these nuts and washers are not necessary to replace after each propeller change. The replacement kits are a couple bucks at most, so it's up to you. It's more of a visual thing as long as nothing is damaged. And with that off, the propeller should now slide right out. The one thing to keep in mind is that for some propellers, there is an additional washer in the back of the propeller hub. That does not seem to be the case in this one. Now, first thing we're going to do is investigate and make sure that we get any pieces that may have fallen into there out, and get that cleaned out before we put the new propeller on. Okay, I don't know if you can see that in there. Yeah, it looks like it's coming up pretty good on camera. The top of the cotter pin did fall in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab that with a pair of pliers. Okay, I was able to get the piece of metal out of there and flip it up onto the screwdriver and pull it back out. Now, this is certainly not a standard part of changing a propeller, but sometimes mistakes do happen, and it's good to see how to correct them. With the propeller removed, we can go ahead and prep the spline for installation. First thing I like to do is kind of wipe it down, get any old grease off there if there is any. We're going to be using the Mercury recommended 24C with PTFE, anti-corrosion, waterproof grease. Okay, so with this looking really good, I'm going to go ahead and take our grease gun here. This is a standard 24-inch grease gun that uses canisters. There's already a canister in the grease gun. Put a little bit on the spline here. Okay, and go ahead and rub it on down. A little bit more up top there. You can also put some on the threads here to make sure this doesn't seize up at any point. You don't want to run into any issues removing it. And also, a little bit on here doesn't hurt either. One of the ways that these exhaust systems line themselves to zero tolerance is by actually having the hub be slightly oversized to the micron level, and when it starts spinning it will wear away on the actual propeller to have a airtight seal here, because this is where your exhaust flows through, and you want to make sure the exhaust is coming out the propeller and not cavitating anywhere else in any open air gaps. So we're going to use our stainless steel. We're putting this side in first, the notch that will line up with the splines. Once it goes in, just kind of wiggle it to have its seat, and then it will slide itself in. As you can see, it fit in perfectly, spins nicely, no issues. There's a sticker right there. Okay, next is going to be our washer. Go ahead and screw on our nut. Now, if you refer to the manual, they will give you a specific torque pounds to torque this down to. I believe it's somewhere in the 15 to 20. I'm really not sure. I don't remember off the top of my head. But really what you're looking for is, as you recall, we went ahead and removed the cotter pin. So the way that cotter pin works, and I probably should have shown this while it was off, is there is a hole. There's a hole going down the middle of the spline stud. You can kind of see it right in the front there, right on top. That hole is where the cotter pin goes through, and then there's another hole on the bottom. You want to tighten the nut so it's, snug, but you want to make sure that you're leaving a gap. See where the cutouts on the nut are? You want to leave a gap where that hole is so you can fit your cotter pin. Okay, we're going to go ahead and tighten this nut down now. Okay, as you can see, there's a little gap still covering the hole. I'm going to go ahead and tighten a little bit more to get past that. A little bit more. As I said, a lot of people will put a block of wood either right here or under it somehow to prevent the blades from spinning while you're doing this. Okay, so now we have a hole on the top, bottom. Let me try a little bit more. Okay. All right, top and the bottom. Okay. So as you can see, the hole is now lined up with the top of the nut. And then a gap on the bottom of the nut. Well, there is really no top or bottom, but on one side and the other. So I feel like I have a little bit more clearance on this top one, so I'm going to start with going in that way, and then I'll bend them on the other way. Alright, so we can take our cotter pin. You can see that one side's shorter than the other. The intention is for the longer side to be closer to you, so when it comes through you can bend it forward to prevent it from spinning. Okay, so as you can just see, I use the handle of the other wrench I had sitting around to kind of wedge the blade in a little bit as I gave it one last tug. I lost a couple second clip where it actually slid into place, but once I tightened the nut just a tiny bit more, the cotter pin slid in just as it should. So now the next step is to bend the front of it up. There, I'll actually bend it down, it'll be a little bit easier. And this will prevent the pin from turning. Another thing you can do is if you have a hammer, a very small hammer, you can gently tap on it to make it a little bit more flush. But either way, you're not going to run into any situations with it like this. Finally, if you like, you can bend the top part in a little bit to just fully lock it in place, and your new propeller is all installed. If you guys like this content and you'd like to see more, leave a comment, like, absolutely subscribe if you want to get notified about it, and I'll get an update video out once we get a chance to try this on the water, see if it helped our RPMs or not. Alright, thanks for everything. Bye guys.